Hey, I'm Paige, and when I'm not being a professional grown-up running a hosting company, you'll often find me doing my other career making videos on YouTube. So why have I recently started releasing my videos on PeerTube months before YouTube? Firstly, when I say PeerTube, PeerTube is actually the name of the software running on a web server which shows people my videos. If you want to see it in action, I've installed a PeerTube instance over at video.canadiancivil.com. PeerTube is like a self-hosted version of YouTube. It's kind of like saying WordPress, which is a self-hosted blog. If you post to PeerTube, it could be your PeerTube site, or you could create an account on someone else's PeerTube site with their permission. So just like you can pay the server fees and host your own WordPress blog, or, have a group of friends who might start a WordPress blog and each have a different account which they write articles with. And I guess I'm the landlord for a number of accounts for my friends who make great stuff, and I think it's good, and so I host it on my PeerTube instance and let people have a look. So why would you host your videos on PeerTube? Well, before we get excited about federation and this exciting new open internet, let's just start with a basic why self-hosted YouTube is a good idea. It's all about risk. YouTube has basically developed a monopoly in giving people money for making long-form videos. The closest competitors are probably Patreon, TikTok, or Nebula, which really says something because they're still really quite different in their own ways. Now, to be clear, YouTube got here through excellence, but I think anyone would agree it could be improved. The problem is, with its dominant position, no one has a serious chance of doing better anytime soon. They are just so far ahead on many of their core competencies, especially AdSense. To talk concretely about room for improvement, there are two ongoing frustrations my YouTuber friends have: video re-uploads and longer description fields. When you upload a video to YouTube and launch it, you'll often notice a small mistake, like a typo or dropped media. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have a video replacement feature. Unless you're a very large creator with friends on the inside, you just have to accept that something you spent months of your life working on now exists with this frustrating small glitch in it, because you were tired and it was 1 a.m. in the morning and your hard drive did something weird and timed out. YouTube could let you do a re-upload on a private or unlisted video. I mean, they could use AI to check to see that a re-uploaded video didn't fundamentally change the video. I mean, they could even charge for this as a pro-creator feature. They just haven't yet. I also like to put my sources down in the description of a video, but these days they never really fit, and the field is limited to 5,000 characters, so instead I have to create a link to another place with the sources listed. And this one's especially annoying because that description field length could be increased by a first-day intern. All other things being equal, I would choose to use the YouTube, which lets you replace videos and has a tool for references. Now, PeerTube and Patreon, both of these platforms let you re-upload videos and have longer descriptions, and I really appreciate that. This is where PeerTube has become a key part of my workflow. I release my videos early on PeerTube because it is a good and forgiving platform for ironing out any glitches and weird things in the video. The PeerTube audience per viewer are extremely engaged, and they let me know if there's a problem. And because of the re-uploading feature, I can iterate and upload new versions, and when I'm finally sure that it's solid, I fully commit and I bake it in with the YouTube release. If only I'd had PeerTube running when I said that Wilfrid Laurier was on the $100 note. I would have happily given a $100 note to have the PeerTube audience catch that dumb mistake. Anyway, PeerTube reduces the risk of this frustrating situation happening while also helping you to make the video more polished. The other risk it helps with is how vulnerable we are to this monopoly. Think of those who built their entire career on Twitter having their livelihoods chained to the whims of one man's ego. Nothing on any of these platforms is safe forever. Things will change. Like, what happens if Google is forced to spin off YouTube by antitrust regulators? Who's going to end up owning it? What might their priorities or politics be? Could moderation policies change? Could you wake up one day to your channel being suspended? I do investigative journalism sometimes, and I'm sure that some people would like to see that taken down. And you bet I have laid awake at night worrying that a large portion of my life's work could suddenly disappear many times. A strategically delivered succession of 3 copyright strikes seems like a good strategy. And I like that there is now a full backup of everything my friends and I have done under our control and publicly accessible, if for no other reason than preventing our life's work from being erased. Changes to direction at YouTube are inevitable. Susan Wojcicki was a real humble superstar from the early days of Google, and she headed YouTube starting in 2014. She steered the YouTube ship into a golden era of it being taken seriously as an alternative to television. Me and many of my friends probably owe our careers to her. The platform entering this era that it's currently in tracks super close to her tenure leading it. But Susan died in 2024, and I think it's a good reminder that good things don't last. In fact, very few companies remain best in the biz decade after decade. In the end, rather than anything else, it's just likely that YouTube's golden years will come to an end, and it will go from great to good to okay. And I guess for many of us, we'd rather spend our careers on something that's better than okay. In the end, on these platforms, creators till the fertile soils, grow our audiences, and build our business. But all these platforms have their 100-year flood risk. You do your best, but for most of us, it's not a question of if, but when. I mean, maybe you'll get to finish out your career on the platform before something gets inundated. Play it really safe, no swearing, no politics, and hopefully management remains, fairly competent and doesn't musk up the platform. But it just makes sense to put some eggs in other baskets. And most of us do with Instagram and TikTok, and of course now, PeerTube. But unlike the other platforms, PeerTube is radically different because anyone who follows you can truly follow you, not your account on someone else's platform, your account on your platform. And even if you don't host your account, PeerTube is part of a thing called the fediverse, which lets you take people with you. So yes, it's now time to explain the other part of the PeerTube equation, the fediverse factor. PeerTube, Mastodon, PixelFed, these websites are called the fediverse, which is the next iteration of the internet. These applications are built around a new standard for transporting information between people. Up until now, we had a standard set of protocols like HTTPS working like a road, drive on this side using these sorts of vehicles at this speed. The Fediverse uses very different sorts of protocols. The largest is called ActivityPub, and these protocols behind the scenes connect all the sites together. And effectively, it's like someone came along and saw the existing networks of roads connecting everything together and designed a specification for a house-sized teleporter. So you can move information wherever you want, but also the protocol is being extended so you can move your actual home as well. Many services like Mastodon and GoToSocial have voluntarily gone and set up this anyway. In other words, wherever you create your PeerTube account and you gather your followers, you'll be able to move it. Not just to another PeerTube instance, but if you're done with making videos altogether, you'll be able to move those followers over to an account for a totally different sort of service. So what does this mean practically for a video creator? Well, let's use an example from my own life. I recently decided to give up on my Facebook page where I would repost videos and occasionally some text posts. I decided to do this because it was annoying uploading videos over there. Meta's AI kept flagging my account and they just wouldn't let me change the page name to update it to what my channel's currently called, so it just sits there now. If I close it out, I'd lose a few hundred followers, so they're just over there now following nothing, unfortunately. But it sucks because, I'm not a big channel. I wish I could just merge those subscribers over into my YouTube channel. Now, if Facebook and YouTube were built on ActivityPub and following the best practices of the Fediverse, I could just transfer those followers over to YouTube. So those folks who are following me over on Facebook, they would see my videos in their Facebook feed, the videos that I'm uploading to YouTube, and the community posts that I make over there as well. They wouldn't even know that the Facebook page was deleted. I mean, they subscribed to this guy, and here's this guy doing what he's doing. This is an analogy. It's not perfect. This technology is also still in development, and it's not fully implemented, but I'm pretty happy to wager that in a few years' time, more and more ActivityPub-based platforms will work in this sort of way. In many ways, having someone following you on the Fediverse is a bit like having someone's email address. In fact, one of the benefits and why I like Patreon is that they do give you the emails of the people who are following you. So if something does go wrong, you still have that email address and you can still let people know, hey, I've moved over here, update your bookmarks. The fediverse makes that whole process automated. When someone follows you on an ActivityPub service like PeerTube and Mastodon, if you move somewhere else, the follower comes along to the new place. It's as close as you can get to the true follower of you, de-risking that middleman problem that all the old social media sites have now. So that's how PeerTube has been helping me handle risk. It gives you a place to QA your videos with a smaller audience to avoid errors in your final product, and if you pay for it, it's your own space, letting you keep a permanent record of your work online. At the same time, PeerTube doesn't lock you in. You'll be able to take your followers with you for life. But there's more to this stuff than risk. There's also reward. Coming up in the next video.